If you want to learn to make aesthetic videos like this, then keep on watching, because in this video, we're breaking down all the tips when it comes to setup, filming, and editing. As always, timestamps are below. Use them if you need them. Let's jump in, starting with setup. When it comes to equipment, really all you need to make aesthetic videos is your phone and a free editing software. You can edit primarily in social media apps like Reels, TikTok, Shorts. My preferred editing software is CapCut because 1, it's free, 2, it's compatible for both mobile and desktop, and 3, you don't have to remove any watermarks if you intend to repurpose your videos. If I just export in CapCut, that video I could post everywhere. There's probably a bajillion other reasons why I prefer CapCut. We won't get into all of those. Just know that when we get to the editing portion of this video, I will be showing editing in CapCut. Now, do you need a tripod to make content? No, you don't. I went like the first year or 2 of my content creator journey propping my phone up on things if I wanted to be in the shot. And if you're making faceless content, you really don't need the tripod because you're behind the camera holding it anyway. But if you are intending to be in a majority of your videos that you're making, tripods definitely help make it a lot easier. This is the tripod that we'll be using today. There we go. You don't need a fancy schmancy tripod. Literally just go to Amazon, find one that has a phone mount so that your phone can attach to said tripod. When it comes to height that you should be shopping for, pick the height of the tripod where the tripod could reach at least your eye level. I'll be sure to link a few budget-friendly tripods down below if you are in the market for one. Before you start filming, make sure your phone camera settings are set up for success. I obviously have an iPhone, so I'm gonna show the iPhone settings, but if you're somebody who is an Android user, I'll link an Android camera setting video down below from another creator, so you can watch that one before you start making your content. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go into our settings, we're gonna choose camera, and then for record video, that's the option we're gonna choose. I like to keep mine at 1080p, 30 frames per second. Now, I feel like a lot of videos that I've seen that talk about aesthetic content recommends 4K at 30 frames per second, which you could absolutely do. For me, here are the reasons that I prefer 1080 and 30 frames per second. 1, 4K, that's gonna take up a lot more storage space on your phone. If you have the storage space, great, you can absolutely film in 4K. 4K will definitely increase that overall quality of your video. But my second reason is most people, most viewers, they can't really tell the difference between the two. If it's a long form video, horizontal for YouTube like this, definitely understand wanting to shoot in 4K for that overall enhanced experience since people can watch on their TVs. But since most people are consuming short form content on their phone, they can't really tell a difference between 1080p and 4K. And the third reason is because a lot of these social media platforms have a compressor where if you upload a video, they are uploading the video to their platform at 1080p anyway. Sometimes your video will actually upload blurry if you don't know the proper exporting techniques. So just to like keep it simple, if you're somebody who is a beginner, you're not too familiar with all the terminology and export settings and all that, keep it simple. 1080p, 30 frames per second will be just fine. Now, going down, I do like to make sure enhanced stabilization is checked on. This will make sure your footage is a little bit more stabilized if you're holding your phone. And then going back, I like to make sure my grid, this one, is turned on and the level is turned on. This will just help with the overall setup when we go into filming or like the composition of our shots. One final thing that I like to make sure is on is going to preserve settings and making sure exposure adjustment is checked on. That just means when you go in your camera app and you adjust the exposure at any time, that exposure will save even if you exit out of your camera app. So it's just something that I like to do. You definitely don't have to have it. Now we're only adjusting the settings for record video because in our camera, we're only gonna be on video mode. You don't really have to record in slow-mo. You don't really have to record in cinematic. So we're just skipping those for now. Now, if you're a content creator or aspiring content creator and you're watching this video shortly after it went live, I just wanna let you know, I do have 2 free live masterclasses coming up where I will be teaching in a live setting. One masterclass is a 60-minute workshop where we're going to be working together to help you plan out your next 4 months of content. And then the other masterclass will be teaching content creators how you could grow from 0 to 100,000 followers, skipping the basics, because I feel like everybody has heard
pick a niche, provide value, post consent.
Like we all know the basics. So that one will be a little bit more advanced, talking about techniques that you can use as a creator to really up-level your game and really grow your social media platforms. So if either of those topics sound interesting to you, I will leave a link below below where you can save your seat. They are live, so there will be a date and time already set that you could show up to. If you can't make it, sign up anyway because you'll get emailed a replay. Okay, now that you have your equipment, your camera settings are ready to go, let's move on to some filming tips. Tip number 1 is to wipe down your camera every single time. I have made this mistake too many times, but I go to filming without wiping it down, and you'd be surprised how flippin' dirty these things get just from like setting it on the counter. It makes the quality definitely a little bit more dull. So wipe down your camera and oh my gosh, all of a sudden the quality is amazing. The next filming tip is when you're setting up your shot, pay attention to the rule of thirds and even horizontal lines. So I'm just gonna point my phone over here. As you could see, we have the grid on our phone. We already turned that on in our settings, so we can see these rule of third lines. Now, specifically what I'm going to be focusing on are the horizontal lines, the one up top, the one on bottom. If my camera is tilted like this, you can tell that this top grid line is not parallel or lining up very well to the ceiling in my TV room. So we're just going to angle our phone. We also have level on, so you see that middle line when it turns yellow, it'll tell us when it's level. And then I'm gonna move that top rule of thirds line and match it to my ceiling line. Now this is a lot more proportionate, it'll be a lot more pleasing to the eye. I have my fan right in the middle. This is one way to pay attention to the rule of thirds. Let's do one more angle. Same thing could be applied here, but instead of paying attention to like our horizontal lines, now let's pay attention to our vertical lines. We're gonna look at the left grid line that's going up and down. And here we're going to actually match it up to the wall and make sure that level turns yellow. Now that would be a good shot composition wise. Now another way to pay attention to the rule of thirds is where you're positioning your main subject. So if I'm going to film a coffee cup, yes, you could absolutely place that coffee cup centered, but you could also place it on those intersection lines on your grid. So let me show you what I mean by that. So what I'm doing, I'm kind of like paying attention to where this cup is placed and everything else that's in the shot. It looks like because these handles are in the shot, I might want the cup to be right in alignment with those. So yeah, and then this horizontal line on the cabinet, on the grid, I could line it up and then have the cup be centered. So this is in line with that, and then we have a good horizontal line here. So that's an example of your main subject being centered, but you could also have your subject be on an intersection line. So we have this grid going here, this grid going here. I just zoomed in a little bit. I have my main subject on this intersection, and I still am making sure that this cabinet is still parallel to the grid line. We don't want anything wonky when it comes to the level, so we're gonna keep the level yellow, and then that could be another shot. Now let's bring our tripod into the mix, and I want to show you tip number 3, and that is lowering your exposure on your phone for more of a moody vibe or moody effect. Again, I'm going to show you 2 angles for this one. One using this corner because I think the lighting looks pretty cool right now, and we already know the setup for this shot, but something that I like to do is I would tap where that focus object would be, make sure everything is in focus, and then I can lower the exposure. I put my finger where the sun is, and I'm just gonna drag my finger down, and that automatically is going to lower the exposure, make it a little darker. And then already this shot feels a little bit more moody and aesthetic. You could also do this by tapping in the top left where it says 0.0, tap right there. And here you can adjust the exposure left to right. Now I'm gonna step out of frame and we're gonna set up this shot with the low exposure. All right, so right now I just have the cabinet's center. Let's say I'm setting up a shot where I want to walk into frame. You're gonna get my pajama pants, but that's just gonna be the name of the game. But we're gonna get a shot where I step into frame and I grab a mug from the cabinet. So everything looks good. Everything looks pretty proportional. The level was checked. Now I'm gonna tap the cabinet, drag my finger down, bring the exposure down a little bit. Then I'll record me coming into here. Boom. Boom shakalaka. So then my next tip after you get a shot that you like is to film the same exact action, film the same exact shot from multiple different angles or perspectives. So we just filmed something that was straight on. It was kind of a medium shot because it was kind of showing torso up, but you could also get a wide shot where it's full body. You could also get a close-up shot, a reveal shot, and a conceal shot. So those are all the different variations that you could kind of cycle through. So let's do some variety shots of the same thing that we just filmed together. So I'm kind of positioning the cabinet on this rule of third line and then making sure this vertical line somewhat is parallel to my wall corners. So I think this will be a fun full body shot. Next, let's get a close up. I think I want my mug to be right on that intersection line. That's nice. If you want it to be more moody, tap on the focal point, lower that exposure a bit. Now let's talk a little bit about the reveal and conceal shots. Reveal and conceal shots are typically done when you're holding the phone, so you're likely either not in them or having somebody else film them for you. Now, a reveal shot is when your camera comes from behind an object and reveals what's happening. The conceal shot is when it starts with what's the action that's happening and then it conceals and fades out. You could do reveal and conceal with any object around your house. The easiest one is like a wall, so coming to a wall, doing something like that. Or if it's at a place where you don't have a wall, you could pick any object around your house, whether it's a water bottle, a watermelon. Man, why was that funny? Okay. Whether it's a water bottle or a watermelon, you could choose any object when revealing and concealing. My gosh, I'm funny. I think since we're kind of going with like the making a coffee vibe, I think what could be cool is as I'm pulling out my Keurig shot, we have the reveal action happening. So it reveals the water being poured or the coffee being poured into my cup. Obviously, before the coffee is being pulled, we might want to have some other shots in between to help with storyline. Another shot you could add is an overhead shot, something like this, where I'm picking out the coffee pod. You could even have like a super close up or a macro shot that's like super close up of putting the coffee pod into the Keurig. But let's do our reveal shot with the coffee being pulled. For my reveal shot, I think I'm gonna use this cardboard box. I tried to do the wall and it just wasn't lining up the way I wanted it to. I wanted to get a little closer, so we're gonna use a cardboard box. So I'm just like swaying back and forth a few times. Nice. Now that we've filmed a bunch of different angles of kind of like the storyline or the video that we're filming today, another tip that I have for you is with your shots, always make sure there's movement happening. So something that I would not do is film this shot right here of like, oh, my coffee just finished pouring. Wow, what a great shot. No. I wouldn't do that because there's no movement happening. I'm basically just taking a photo and making it like 3 seconds long. So that's why I would have filmed when the coffee was being pulled. Or if I'm gonna do this type of a shot, maybe I could have my hand coming in, removing the coffee, or if you just wanted a still shot of the coffee, it'd be cool if you could see the steam coming out of it, or if there was like a candle flickering in the background, something to show that it's a video, it's not just a still photo. Now, as you start to film, you'll probably notice that this is a lot of work. Getting all these different shots with different angles takes up a lot of time. And if you're somebody that's on a time crunch and you don't have time to film B-roll or filler shots, what I recommend using is a stock subscription service like Storyblocks, who is also the sponsor of today's video. Now, if you've been here for a while, are you surprised? Are we even surprised at this point? I've been talking about Storyblocks since 2021. I have used them for B-roll on my channel for such a long time, and I've even been recommending them for years, so are we shocked? So Storyblocks, for those of you who don't know, has an unlimited library of diverse and high quality media for one predictable subscription cost, and they have basically everything that you need to create high quality video with over 1 million 4K HD footage, templates, music, sound effects, images, and more. Now, if you're looking specifically for clips to add to your short form videos, I like to make sure that the search filters of 4K and 30 frames per second is turned on. The reason I like to search in 4K is because if you come across a horizontal video that you want to use in a vertical format, when you zoom and crop in, it's not going to compromise the quality of that video. The best part is everything that you download with Storyblocks is 100% royalty free. This keeps you legally covered so that you can focus on doing what you love doing, creating, without having to focus on the legal rights of clips that you want to use. To get started with unlimited stock media downloads at one set price, head to storyblocks.com/modernmillie or use the link below. All right, let's move on to editing tips. As I said before, I prefer CapCut. It's free. I love it. It's so easy to use. So we're going to start a new project in CapCut and choose everything that we filmed today. Next, we're going to go into aspect ratio and make sure that we resize this to 9:16. And then as we start to edit, the first thing that you want to pay attention to is only showing what needs to be shown and moving on. Just little snippets here and there, maybe 1 to 2 second segments of each shot. I'm just going to the beginning of the main movement, splitting, deleting everything else, and then going to the end of the main movement, splitting, deleting everything else. And then we're gonna go back and adjust kind of like the storyline of this video. So for the storyline, I think I'm going to start with the wide shot because I feel like that is the establishing shot of the storyline. It's summing up where we are, what we're doing. And once I touch the cabinet, that's when we're going to maybe split. Let's see what that looks like. We're gonna to zoom in, I'm using 2 fingers. As I close the cabinet, we're gonna split it and then cut to this other shot of me setting the cup down. Let's see what that looks like. Cool. So love the flow. We could still make it a little bit quicker. This one is 1 second. I like it. This one is 1.8 seconds. And that one's the long one. This one's kind of 2 seconds. I'm gonna let it play for like a millisecond, pause, maybe split, drag this to where I'm pulling the cup out. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, and then same thing here. I shut the cabinet. Once it's shut, we're gonna pause here, split. There's not a lot of movement happening. So let's get me setting the cup down. Delete this where like you can't really see anything happening, delete. Let's see that flow. Cool. This is kind of a reveal shot with the coffee pods. We're gonna start it here. Reveal, split. What I like to do is I just let the beginning of the clip play for a second and pause. Wherever I pause it, that's where I'm gonna cut. So I cut here. I'm gonna grab. When I start grabbing and pulling, we'll split. That's the next main action. Delete everything in between. Boom. Yeah, grab, and then there's not really movement once my hand comes out of frame, we're gonna boop, split, because there's not movement happening here. You see how boring that is? We're gonna split here. Yeah, that's better. And then maybe trim the ending. Main movement, boom, movement. Again, I played and paused real quick. Pause. Split. Split. Once my hand is out of frame, let's get rid of this guy. Then put the new guy in. Every time I notice the movement is leaving the frame, I'm cutting before the movement leaves the frame. So my hand is in motion there. I want to cut before my hand fully leaves because then that's still imagery and we don't want any stillness. Not much motion happening until here. Let's delete this front part. Boom. Once it's shut, split, probably delete all that. Start, delete, reveal, delete. So let's watch the whole thing together. Looks good. I still think it could be quicker, way more fast paced. I could probably delete more from here, but I want to keep moving on with our video and more editing tips. Now, something that really speaks volumes when it comes to the aesthetic of a video is the music. Here's a fun hack that I like to do so that I'm editing to the music of a trending audio on whatever platform is my main platform. So you're going to find the audio that you want to use. Oh, that's a vibe. That's a vibe. So that's definitely an audio that I want to use. Plus that arrow that's pointing up shows that it's trending. So what you're going to do is you're going to screen record the audio on your phone. So you would screen record. I'm already screen recording, so I'm not going to stop it, but I'm going to screen record the audio so that I could extract the audio in CapCut and make sure I'm editing to the rhythm and the beat of the music. So we're just going to play it. And then we are going to go over to CapCut. You're going to add your screen recording. Obviously, I'm already screen recording now, so I cannot add the actual audio, but I will show you an example. Add. Pretend this is the screen recording. We're going to tap, scroll all the way to the right where it says extract audio, and then you could click and drag that audio, the music, to the very beginning of your clip so that you can be editing with the rhythm of the music. So when you upload your final video, you've exported it in CapCut, you upload it to whatever platform you want. You're just gonna make sure that you choose the trending audio and make sure it lines up with the editing that you already did. Now, the next thing that adds a lot of aesthetic to your video is the filter that you choose for that video. Right now, the colors that we're seeing of the video is just true to what came up in camera, but we want it to be a little bit more aesthetic for our vibe. So in CapCut, I'm going to just choose filters and choose a filter that I could use on every video that I ever edit, because the more consistent you are in using your filters, the more recognizable your videos become on social media, and the more consistent and cohesive your whole feed looks. It definitely gives off the more aesthetic vibe. Some of my personal favorites are pro versions, so you would have to upgrade to use them, like Moody Fall, and then like bringing that down to like maybe 30 or 25. I really like Moody Fall. Autumn Leaves is a good one. It turns like greens more yellow. So like a lot of the autumn ones are really nice, but we didn't pay for it. We're using the free version. So let's talk about some of the free filters that I like. If you're somebody that likes the minimal and moody aesthetic, I think Humble is a good option for you. My go-to is Orange Blue. This is just it's modern Millie branding, because my brand colors have always had a good orange or like teal orange contrast. So I'll use Orange Blue, and then I'll only go up to maybe 30. Clear is also a really good one if you like the minimal but also maybe bright aesthetic. AGFA, is that it? AGFA 400 is a good one for more like vintage film looking ones, so you could adjust that to your liking. With all the filters, I only go up to 30 because I think too much filter makes your video look less quality and a little more cheap. You want it to be kind of subtle, almost like people can't tell it was even colored or edited. It looks so natural. And then let's make sure the filter goes to all clips. Let me zoom out. Adjust the filter to all clips. My final personal favorite thing to do when I'm editing a video, this is just a personal preference thing. I like my whites to be like white, true white. Like these cabinets right now, they look pretty yellow. They look a little yellow on screen. So I'm gonna tap where this filter is and press adjust. And then up top, we're gonna press adjust again and go to HSL. And what we're gonna do is select yellow and bring the saturation of yellow all the way down. HSL is where you can adjust the hue, saturation, and lightness of any color on that color spectrum here within your video. So if I just wanted to edit the yellows, I could bring that saturation down, and you can see if I bring it all the way up, it's really yellow, all the way down, and then maybe bring that brightness up. And now the whites look way more bright, way more true to color. So if I hold my finger down, you could see the before, it's very yellow, and after, the whites are true white. You could do this for any color. So if you want to adjust maybe the blues to be more teal, you could adjust the blues. If you look at the Turani, there we go, Turani, watch them change teal, purple, teal, purple. So this is something fun that you could play with. And mainly I just go in for the yellows and adjust the yellows and oranges in my videos. Now, the final thing that you do not want to miss, you do not want to mess up, is exporting your video correctly. So up in the top, you see 1080p. Make sure to click that and make sure that all the information here matches the camera settings that you filmed on. So if you filmed in 4K, make sure that matches in the export settings. If you filmed in 1080p, make sure that matches. So we have 1080p, 30 for the frame rate, recommended. Everything looks good. So now I'm ready to export my video. With all of the setup, filming, and editing tips that we went over today, this is what our final video looks like. Now, if you've made it this far, be sure to include the secret emoji in your comment down below and watch this video next because YouTube thinks that you'll like it. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Follow your joy. Bye. My Lanta. Bye. Bye.